Greetings, guys, and welcome back to the Wealth for Real YouTube channel. I'm Chris Anastasio. It's Monday, April 17th, and I wanted to continue this conversation with you guys from the video I posted on Friday, the 14th, about Bill Ackman, the individual who runs Pershing Square Capital Management. In that video, I talked to you guys about the May 2007 briefing that him and Pershing published about the coming recession or certain indicators that they were seeing that said that a recession was on the horizon. And that document is this one, Who's Holding the Bag? As you can see, this is the name of the hedge fund that Ackman runs to the present day. But this is 16 years ago. You guys take a look through this thing, you're going to see a lot of correct analysis, correct calls being made, that we were headed towards a pretty big disaster. And so I became aware of that document, as I mentioned in the Friday video, from watching Inside Job, the documentary that came out in 2010 about the 2008 recession. There were a lot of documents and reports and analyses and laws and legislation that were mentioned in that movie that I am hacking my way through as quickly as I can. I'm going to obviously share it with you guys here on the channel as I do it. I'm doing this real time with you guys. This is not cleanly, neatly finished, packaged analysis. I'm literally working on this stuff real time and publishing it here for you guys to kind of come along and either benefit from or help out with or question, comment, whatever. So I wanted to follow up on the Friday video about this. By the way, here it is on the Facebook page, Well For Real. I posted the link to it. And this was, I think, a day or two before I made the video. But what I wanted to do in this video was focus on one particular chart that Ackman's team put into the brief that I just showed you a moment ago. And that is this chart right here, increasing asset values. And basically, so here's what I want to look at with you guys. This chart was showing, and you can see this chart goes up to third quarter 2006. It shows 05 here, but it goes a little bit past that up to this point. So this chart was showing in May 2007, up to the latest data they had, third quarter 06, basically the housing market and trends in that market. And what's being depicted here on this chart, guys, in the blue line, you're seeing the actual data, the home price index data. And this thinner red line right here is the long-term exponential trend line with an annual growth rate of 5.1%. So I think I mostly understand what that means. I'm not 100% sure, but basically it's a trend line that gets compared to the actual data in this chart. Let's just put it that way. And so this grabbed my attention for a few reasons. First of all, and the major reason it should grab our attention is how dependable, at least over the last few, it's going to end up being 3 examples here, of how every time this blue line, home price index line, broke above the trend line for any amount of time. I mean, you can see there's a little hump here from looks like about 1979 to 82. And then here again in the mid 80s, it goes above and kind of crosses back over in the early 90s. And of course, we know what happened here in 2008. Eventually, it's not shown on this chart because I hadn't reached that point. But basically what you're seeing here, guys, is that every time this line broke above the trend line, once, twice, and then again a third time here, you basically ended up with a housing recession, right? So let's break it down. So in 1981, the home price index goes 9% above the trend line, and you go into a recession here through most of the early 80s, right? Okay, that's these gray lines here. They depict housing recessions. Okay, then over here, you have in the right about 1990, you have a peaking of the home price index 12% above the trend line, which then leads to a recession from about 91 to 93. And it says here, in the past, peaks of HPI, or home price index above trend line, tended to be followed quickly by housing recessions. Okay, so you didn't have to wait long here. I mean, this one was almost right as it was happening, and this one was about a year later. And then here you have this dramatic break in the early to mid 2000s, big dramatic break here, where HPI goes above the trend line. I mean, a really wide berth there between the two. And then we see, now I'm going to switch you guys back over here. If you go to the Case-Shiller National Home Price Index data from S&P that was posted here on the St. Louis Fed website, okay, this is where, about right here, third quarter 06. This is about where my line is showing right there, is where Ackman's chart ends. And now you can see we have the benefit of hindsight after that. What happened after that? And of course, just like Ackman's chart has those little gray areas on it, you can see the St. Louis Fed shows the recession that occurs here. The peak point is probably, again, somewhere in like mid-06, and by '08, about a year and a half later, you're into a deep housing recession. Kind of trudges along here. It bottoms out in 2012, steadily climbs up to about the 2020 mark. We had like a little blip on the radar type recession there, did nothing to housing. In fact, drove it way above trend line again here. So what's really interesting, guys, is we see Ackman's chart go up to here, and it shows the trend line and this data point line here diverging from each other, right? That's this action that's occurring right there. Then it slopes back down and steadily climbs to the point where we are now in another phase, and a very sharp one, I might add. I mean, if you look at the peak here, June 2022, steep fall. And there, by the way, guys, I don't know if you noticed, they're using a different scale here. You can see the scale on the left. It's got a conversion rate of like for every 2,000, it's 100, whereas Ackman's chart is a little bit different. But the point is, it's the same idea. The thing peaks here in the summer of 2022, and it just absolutely plummets. What is it here? 308 down to about 294 in short order as we head into early 2023. So this downturn here that occurred in the 06-07 timeframe and then later resulted in a recession should absolutely be happening again here as time unfolds, right? And so what grabbed my attention about this chart is how automatic these recessions appeared to be. Then we know Ackman got it right here because he was calling for a recession here, and indeed we got one. That's this gray band right here. And so now we're in the same boat. So for the fourth time, and I know the St. Louis Fed data actually logs in little recessionary periods here in the early 2000s and in 2020, whereas Ackman's chart does not have the 2000. He doesn't actually show it here. But that's a minor point. The point is this chart and Ackman's chart and the dependability of these data points should be telling us, should be confirming for us. I mean, it's not the biggest revelation in the world, right? I think a lot of people are calling this, but data in the past has supported that we are absolutely headed into a housing recession. I mean, 100% chance based on the old data combined with what looks like it's going to be a more severe case in this instance because of the very sudden twist and turn in this housing market based on post-pandemic dynamics, the quick pullback of those dynamics where people are now headed back to work or not working from home or not needing homes as desperately as they needed in 2020 and 2021. And then on top of that, the high interest rates, right? So even if people wanted to keep buying homes and they wanted to keep those post-pandemic dynamics going, they can't, right? Because of these ever increasing interest rates and more hikes to come more than likely. So I really wanted to highlight this for you guys and show you both this chart in the Ackman briefing, which again, I did the video on Friday that goes through a third of this briefing. I will finish that. I have another video I got to do where I show you guys the rest of it. I had only made it up to around here. I think this was the last chart that I may have shown, or maybe even this one. Yeah, it was at page 25 or 26. So I still have to finish the overall video I want to do for you guys about that briefing because it was so enlightening. But I didn't want to waste any time. I wanted to show you guys right here this chart about home price index and then show you the current data right here as to what's happening now with this situation. Okay, now just as an FYI to you guys, I looked up the 30-year trend line here and I just couldn't, to be honest with you guys, I looked at a couple of these results and I just couldn't find the 30-year trend line. So I was trying to find out how far away did this incline here from 2020 to 22 break away from the trend line. I just haven't figured that out yet. Hopefully I can get you guys an update on that for the next video or one of the future videos I do about this. But this is kind of a big deal for me, guys. I've been looking at buying homes from a residential perspective and wondering if I should wait. I think this is kind of telling me that within the next year or two, I would see prices come down. But most importantly, from an investment perspective, I think we are absolutely headed into another one of these troughs. And as inelastic as the real estate market is, we know this is going to be kind of drawn out. This isn't going to be a snapshot in time. It's going to be drawn out, and you can see how drawn out it was. You have a peak here in mid-06 and a bottoming in February 12. So you have a 6-year stretch on peak to trough on the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. So there's a window of opportunity there, guys, for buying real estate. But I'm really interested to see where this thing totally breaks, totally returns to trend, and enters us into a recessionary period like this. So would love to hear your guys' comments, questions, analysis, thoughts. If you can fill in some of these blanks for me, or if anybody knows where to find this 30-year trend line. Again, I didn't look hard for it, but if you've got it, would love to compare it to this. So definitely appreciate that, guys. Any engagement you have with this video. Also, when you get a chance, please hit the subscribe button. I am literally publishing real-time thoughts, efforts, analysis with regard to all kinds of financial efforts that I'm undertaking, but specifically in this case, looking at when and where the next recession is going to come from, what it's going to look like, how long it's going to last, the whole thing. Just trying to sift through that and figure out what's going on. So definitely appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button down there, and definitely appreciate you guys checking out this video, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.